morning, dear students. Today we are going to start our section by discussing about the general organization of mitochondria. In the former video, we learned about mitochondria. Which are the scientists who found mitochondria, who named like those things, and the endosymbiont hypothesis. So here in this section, we are going to see what's the structure, what is the organization of mitochondria. This mitochondria, they are highly mobile and plastic organelle. Plastic organelles. Is it means formed of some plastic substance? Is it mean like that? No. Plastic organelles means it is an organelle capable to change its shape according to the requirement. So that is called plastic organelles. It is capable to change its shape according to what's function how to perform. Okay, and how this mitochondria is moving inside the cell. So it needs, like all our workers, it also needs some medium to move. So inside the cell, what is helping it to move? Microtubules. We can see this is a picture in showing the internal side of the cell, and the green colored portion is the microtubules. It is a skeleton of the cell, and through that skeleton this mitochondria is moving all around the cell and providing energy where the energy is required in time. Okay, so the microtubules is the that medium that helps the mitochondria to move. And also, this mitochondria, against to its highly mobile nature, it remains static. Where in which all areas where the ATP demand is high. Can you mention some names of such type of area that is required too much of energy? Yes, we know our heart is continually working. So cardiac muscle cell always need a continuous supply of ATP. So mitochondria remains it present there statically to provide that high demand of ATP in the muscle cell. Then sperm flagella, sperm, it need to move very fast, vigil, energetic, and it needs a continuous, constant supply of energy. ATP is required. So, on the axis of the flagellum of the sperm, the mitochondria statically, stationarily present there. So these are the examples for some areas where mitochondria statically sit. And if we take a cell, that form and size and number of the mitochondria, it will vary from one cell to another cell. That number, that form, that size is not the same if we check different cell types. So that will vary. And we are moving to some other features of mitochondria. They appears most of the time it appears in the form of rods or spheres or filaments. So I'm just going to explain some important points about its structure. It has two membrane. This is the outer membrane. Okay. And there is a highly folded inner membrane. So this is outer membrane and this one is the inner membrane. Look, its specialty, it is folded. That folds are called cristae. What's the name? I will later explain to you once more. And if I just hear the terms now. So that folds are called cristae. What's the name? Cristae. And inside the mitochondria, it possesses its own genome. Because in the last video, I told you that this mitochondria actually it comes from some prokaryotic cell having their own genome. So that is why while being inside in our cells too, it still possesses its own DNA. Okay. Then what else? I have some ribosomes and also in that foldings we can find some tennis racket like structures called they are called ATPs in this, or uh, F1 F0 particle ATPs in this, or F1 F0. So these are the main side where ATP is forming. So that's all. Some basic concept regarding the structure of mitochondria, and I'm just taking one ATP synthase, and this is that basic structure of ATP synthase. Yeah, F0 portion is there and F1 portion. All those things we will see later in this chapter itself. So all the points that I just explained to you, we are going once more. Two membranes are there. We know outer membrane and inner membrane, and two matrices, two spaces are there. Which are the two spaces? One is that internal matrix, inner side, and there will be a space between the two membranes. So the metric space will be there. This is the metric space, this is the metric space, and this is the intermembrane space between the two membrane. And this inner membrane, the membrane that we can see in yellow color, it is a main site of oxidative phosphorylation. We will learn about the process later, important process that leads to the generation of ATP. So that is taking place where? In the inner membrane. Okay. And the outer membrane. What's the importance of outer membrane? So many integral proteins are present, and because of that, these proteins, it is equal to some pores, and through that pores, transport of materials is possible. Just like some holes. These proteins, they stand in the form of some channels. So integral proteins, they form sporins. Okay. Then this inner membrane, it is mainly composed of cardiolipin. It is composed of cardiolipin. Cardiolipin is a type of phospholipid, but in its structure, it bear two phospholipids. Phospholipid. Where present two phospholipid in this cardiolipin molecule, and these two phospholipids are connected together. It is connected together with the help of one molecule of glycerol. So that is the structural details of cardiolipin. Cardiolipin's amount is high in this inner membrane. Then what is the significance of having this much amount of cardiolipin in the inner membrane? So because of that, the inner membrane become more permeable to ions. Because of the presence of more amount of cardiolipin, the inner membrane is more permeable to ions. And the folds, I already told you the name of the fold, it's called cristae, not the spelling. And I already told you that in that folding portion present that ATPase in this. ATP, as the name implies, it means that it is the main motor that is synthesizing ATP. So, if we consider a cardiac muscle cell, we already learned that it requires a constant continuous supply of energy in the form of ATP. So, in such type of cells, the mitochondria present in such type of cells contain so many numerous enormous amount of this cristae foldings. So, what's the yeah, significance of having so many cristae? We know that only in cristae portion that ATP synthase is present. So that is why cristae is more in cardiac muscle cell. Not only the cardiac muscle cell, which all cell that requires more energy. There all the cristae's amount is high, more. Then inner membrane. This inner membrane, it contains the ATPase in this and all the enzyme complexes that is involved in the respiratory chain. Respiratory chain means that process that ultimately leads to the generation of ATP. So all those things they are located in the inner membrane. Don't forget, all these things are located in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Then we are going to talk about the matrix. Matrix. Hundreds of enzymes are present where in the matrix. Why all these enzymes are present here? For the oxidation of pyruvate and fatty acid for getting used up in the citric acid cycle. Okay, so for oxidating pyruvate and fatty acid requires the help of many enzymes, hundreds of enzymes. All those enzymes are present in this matrix. And because of the oxidation of these two substances, the product that formed out of its oxidation, it can be used up in citric acid cycle. And because of citric acid cycle, we will get very useful end products like carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide we can consider like that, it's a waste. Then NADH is the main important thing, that is the bank inside the cell, bank holding the energy. Okay, so note that name, NADH. Okay, um in addition to that, we all have learned that inside present mitochondrial DNA, certain ribosomes, then tRNAs, these are also present, and also some other enzymes that is required, that is necessary for the transcription and translation of mitochondrial genes. For that also, so many enzymes are essential. That enzymes too present in the matrix. Then I'm going to explain the important concept mitochondrial oxidation. It can also ask like what is mitochondrial oxidation for the exam. So means listen to this portion and understand it crystal clear. Okay. So this is a schematic representation of mitochondria. Here we can see inner membrane. This is the outer membrane. And there comes the pyruvate and fatty acid. From where that pyruvate and fatty acid came? Pyruvate, it emerged because of the breakdown of carbohydrate food. Breakdown of carbohydrate rich food. Because of its metabolism, what is forming? Pyruvate. Then how the fatty acid can be formed? Because of the oxidation metabolism of fatty food. So by that way, these two things are forming inside the cytoplasm. Then too, that energy creating process is not complete. So what next is happening? Everything is happening in connection with the mitochondria. So that is mitochondrial oxidation. You look to that term mitochondrial oxidation. Oxidation means generating energy. Reduction means giving energy. Okay, so mitochondrial oxidation, some process are happening in the mitochondria, and because of that, energy is generating. So let's see how is that happening. This pyruvate and fatty acids, both they are transported or taken up inside the matrix of the mitochondria with the help of some special transport process that we don't need to bother now. So let simply understand that this pyruvate and fatty acid just enter inside the mitochondria. Okay, now it is in the matrix. Okay, this is the matrix. Then what next is happening? Both undergoes metabolism. It's further breakdown. And what is forming? Acetyl CoA. Acetyl CoA is forming because of the metabolism of pyruvate and fatty acid. Acetyl CoA is forming. And this formed acetyl CoA is entering the citric acid cycle or the TCA cycle. Okay. And as it enters the TCA cycle, which are the main end products formed out of this TCA cycle? Two molecules of carbon dioxide, 3 NADH, 1 FADH2, 1 GTP, and 3 H plus. And look, we need to take care of these two molecules. These two. These are very important. These are the banks storing the energy temporarily. They are storing energy in the form of electrons. Okay. And I already told you that in the inner membrane there present so many enzyme complexes that is helping in the generation of ATP. And these electrons that stores enormous energy. It is temporarily held by these NADH and FADH2. These electrons, they are moving through these enzyme complexes. And because of its movement through these complexes, it generates enormous amount of energy and ultimately it leads to the formation of ATP. So, in a simple way, this is the process how ATP is forming. Okay, don't think that it's a very simple process. This metabolism of pyruvate and fatty acid itself is a complex process. TCA cycle is another important process, and after all these process, these substances are forming. Again, this is another important complex process, and completing this one, it results in the formation of ATP. Anyhow, whatever we are eating, ultimately what is generating? ATP. And who is generating this ATP? It is the mitochondria. So that is why mitochondria is called the powerhouse of our cell. Okay, clear?
I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a Benz.